I heard my mother whisper, "Finally." Those were the very first words I understood after waking from a coma. But I didn't open my eyes. The doctors believed I was still unconscious, and my family assumed I couldn't hear a thing. So I remained perfectly still and listened. At first, I expected relief, tears, maybe even prayers. Instead, I heard hushed voices, quiet arguments, and buried secrets. The kind of secrets people only share when they believe someone will never wake up to hear them. With every passing minute, another piece of a puzzle I never even knew existed fell into place. By the time I finally opened my eyes, my entire life had been changed forever. The first thing I became aware of was a steady beeping sound. Slow, constant, unchanging. For a few moments I convinced myself I was dreaming. My mind felt unbearably heavy, trapped somewhere between reality and sleep. Everything around me sounded distant, as though I were underwater listening to voices drifting down from the surface. Then I caught the unmistakable smell of disinfectant. A hospital. The realization struck immediately. I wasn't dreaming. I was awake. Panic surged through my body. I tried moving my fingers, but nothing happened. I attempted to open my eyes, yet they felt impossibly heavy. Even taking a breath seemed like an enormous effort. A nearby voice broke the silence. "Her vitals look stable." Another voice responded, "That's good. Let's keep monitoring." Footsteps faded into the distance. A door opened, then quietly closed. Silence returned. I focused on the rhythmic beeping of the machine beside me. Every sound seemed sharper now. Slowly, fragments of memory started coming back. Rain, headlights, a violent crash, then darkness. That was all I could remember. How long had I been lying here? Hours, days, weeks? I had no idea. Fear settled deep inside my chest. What if something was terribly wrong? What if I never recovered completely? I wanted to speak. I wanted to ask questions. I wanted someone to explain what had happened. But my body refused to obey. Then the door opened once more. Several sets of footsteps entered the room. A familiar voice spoke first. "Oh, sweetheart." My mother. Relief washed over me. Mom was here. Everything would be okay. Or at least, that's what I believed. Another voice followed. "We shouldn't stay too long." My stepfather. Then came another familiar voice. "She's been like this for months. 5 more minutes won't make any difference." My older brother. Months. The word echoed over and over inside my mind. Months. I'd been unconscious for months. The realization terrified me. I listened even more carefully. A chair scraped across the floor as someone sat beside my bed. My mother's voice trembled with emotion. "The doctors still don't know when she'll wake up." "No," my stepfather replied. "They don't." Something about the way he said it immediately felt wrong. There was no sadness, no concern, only coldness. An uneasy feeling settled over me. I'd always been close to my mother. Even after she remarried, I'd done everything I could to keep our family together. So why did the room suddenly feel so tense? My brother sighed. "We can't keep doing this forever." My mother's voice dropped to barely a whisper. "I know." A long silence filled the room, the kind of silence that usually came just before someone revealed something important. I focused on every word, every breath, every sound. Then my stepfather finally spoke. "Eventually, she's going to find out." My heart skipped a beat. "And what?" My mother didn't answer us right away. When she finally did, her voice sounded tired. "If she wakes up." The room fell silent once again. A cold chill ran through my entire body. Something was wrong. I could feel it. People didn't speak this way about someone they loved. Not like this. Not when they believed that person might never wake up. I wanted to open my eyes. I wanted to demand answers. But something deep inside me warned me not to. Not yet. Something important was unfolding. Something I was never supposed to hear. My brother stood up. I recognized the sound of his shoes against the floor. Then he spoke the words that made my stomach sink. "Honestly, maybe it's better if she never finds out what happened to Grandpa's estate." Every thought in my mind came to a complete stop. Grandpa's estate. What did that have to do with me? Before I had a chance to process the question, my mother whispered the words that changed everything. "Please, don't start that conversation here." But by then, it was already too late. Because in that moment I realized that my accident wasn't the greatest mystery inside that hospital room. The greatest mystery was my family. And I was about to uncover the truth. The rest of that day felt almost unreal. I stayed perfectly still, making myself breathe slowly every time someone walked into the room. Every sound seemed louder than before. Every conversation suddenly carried weight. The more I listened, more the scattered pieces of the puzzle began falling into place. Around noon, my Aunt Karen stopped by. She lowered herself into the chair beside my bed and let out a heavy sigh. "I still can't believe they actually did it." My heart started pounding. Another familiar voice answered. It was my cousin Rachel. "They honestly thought she was never going to wake up." Karen lowered her voice even further. "That still doesn't make it right." For several minutes they spoke cautiously, choosing their words with care. But eventually the truth slipped through. While I was lying in a coma, my mother had convinced several members of the family that I wanted to sell my small design business. She insisted that I had talked about it before the accident. Since I wasn't able to confirm or deny anything, she took control of the important decisions herself. That business had been my dream. I had spent 7 years building it from the ground up, and now, major decisions had been made without me. After Karen and Rachel left, I felt sick to my stomach. But the biggest revelation didn't come until later that evening. My older brother Daniel arrived like everyone else. He believed I was still unconscious. "I'm telling you," he said quietly, "this has gone too far." My stepfather answered without hesitation. "We didn't have any other choice." There was always a choice. Silence filled the room. Then Daniel said something that changed everything. "She trusted us." The disappointment in his voice sounded real. For the first time since waking up, I realized that someone in my family had actually been trying to protect me. A small spark of hope came alive inside me. Over the next several hours, more visitors unknowingly confirmed everything I had already heard. Each new conversation uncovered another missing piece. By the following morning, I finally understood the whole story. Some relatives had accepted my mother's version of events without question. Others had quietly doubted her. A few had benefited from the decisions that were made, and one person had consistently stood against them. Daniel. The brother I had always believed was distant had been defending me the entire time. Late that afternoon, a nurse came in to perform a routine examination. She checked my pulse before adjusting one of the monitors. "How are we feeling today?" she asked with a cheerful smile. Without even thinking, I whispered, confused. The nurse froze. For a brief moment, neither of us moved, then her eyes widened. "You're awake." Within minutes, doctors rushed into the room. Tests came first. Questions followed immediately after, then my family arrived. The expressions on their faces were impossible to forget. Daniel looked relieved. My stepfather looked completely stunned. My mother looked terrified. For the first time, I opened my eyes all the way and looked directly at each of them. The room fell completely silent. "I heard everything," I said. "I know what happened while I was here." My mother's face lost every bit of color. The conversations that followed weren't ease, but they were honest facts replaced assumptions. Accurates no longer held any power. For the first time, everyone was forced to explain the choices they had made. Some relationships never healed. Others grew stronger because the truth had finally come out. Recovery took months. Learning to walk again was difficult. Learning who I could truly trust was even harder. But I committed myself to both. Daniel helped me rebuild the business. My friends stood by my side. And little by little, life finally began moving forward again. People sometimes ask me what changed my life forever. It wasn't the accident, it wasn't the coma. It was the choice I made the moment I first woke up. I kept my eyes closed, I listened. And because of that single decision, I learned the truth before anyone realized I was awake. That truth was painful. But it also gave me something priceless, the chance to rebuild my future on honesty instead of illusion.